When I graduated from college, my girlfriend and I got married. I moved to her city to work and live together. At first, our life seemed very good. We had a home and a partner who supported each other. However, soon after, we started to argue a lot over small things. It was all about the little things in life, but it made our relationship strained. My girlfriend thought that I was not considerate enough. She felt that I didn't understand her feelings and didn't care about her needs. I, on the other hand, think she is not considerate enough because I came to live and work in her city for her. We would often argue over these issues, but never found a solution. After 2 years, we finally chose to divorce. The relationship was a failure for me. This incident also hit me very hard. I felt very lost and depressed. In order to start over, I decided to go back to my hometown. When I returned home, I felt very depressed. There was nothing I wanted to do and I stayed at home all day. 3 months passed and my mood didn't improve much. I was still living this life without any direction or goal. Later, my father found a job for me in an automobile manufacturing plant. Although this job was not the career I once dreamed of, I decided to give it a try. When I first started working, I felt very uncomfortable. The job was very hard, requiring long hours of standing and operating machines. After the first month of work, I made a serious mistake. When I was operating the machine, I didn't pay attention to a small detail, which caused a problem with the car parts. The leader found out the problem and criticized me. At that time, I felt very embarrassed and sad. I felt like a loser. After work, I was in a very low mood, so I drove alone to the lake. I bought some food and wine on the way, hoping to numb my emotions with alcohol. I parked my car and found a quiet place to sit down. I opened the bottle and started drinking. Soon I had drunk half a bottle of vodka. I felt a little dizzy in my head. I was yelling at the lake, trying to get my emotions to explode. I felt like such a failure in my life. I couldn't control my emotions anymore. I didn't know what I was thinking, I just felt so desperate. I even began to think about suicide, thinking that such a life was not worth continuing. I saw the deep lake and thought I could choose to jump in and end it all. Under the effect of alcohol, I jumped into the lake. At the moment I jumped into the lake, I felt an indescribable feeling. The temperature of the lake was low, which made me instantly sober. I began to struggle to swim back to the shore, but my whole body had no more strength to struggle. As I slowly sank to the bottom of the water, a bright light appeared behind me. This light was so warm. As the light got closer to me, I saw a life form inside. I knew it was an angel. The light from him reassured me, and he spoke to me in a soft voice, telling me that he was here to help me. I felt my body being gently wrapped around me. As I entered that light, I felt an indescribable sense of peace and warmth. This feeling was like nothing I had ever experienced before. I knew my body in the water was dead, but that no longer seemed to matter. Next, we appeared in a dark tunnel. The tunnel was so deep that we were descending as fast as if we were in free fall. The size of the tunnel was getting bigger and bigger. As we descended, I began to hear some terrible screams. These screams were so horrible that they filled my heart with unease and fear. I began to imagine countless souls moaning in pain in this tunnel, and the screams seemed to be warning me. A huge crater suddenly cracked in the tunnel. The view inside the tunnel became more eerie and frightening. My eyes couldn't stand the searing heat. I could hear countless screams all around me, making my eardrums about to explode. In this sea of fire, I saw countless people trapped in it, screaming non-stop. Their skin was melting. In front of me, those black shadowy creatures crept closer to me. Their appearance disgusting and terrifying. Their eyes seemed to penetrate my soul. Their arms were covered with a thick layer of black scales, and their teeth were long and sharp. It was as if they were waiting for an opportunity to attack me. There was an unpleasant smell emanating from the place. It was full of stench and decay and made me want to vomit. The angel reassured me that you came here only as a witness to hell. As long as I am with you, no harm will come to you. I was still a little afraid that the angel would let go of my hand and leave me to face these horrible creatures on my own. I pleaded with the angel to take me out of that place, and we began to move upward quickly. We quickly returned to the light, and that peace and tranquility enveloped me once again. The angel told me, hell is one of the possible paths you can choose. Now I will show you another path that you can choose to take towards the light, to establish a deeper connection with God, and to pursue a more meaningful life. Next, the angel held my hand again and we came to the gates of heaven. I saw the gate shining with a golden light. The angel told me that only those who meet the requirements can enter heaven and asked me to try. I had just gotten close to the gate when I felt a strong force push me back. Although I couldn't see anything, something must have been preventing me from entering. Puzzled, I asked the angel, if I can't enter, why are we here? The angel told me that your soul still needs to experience some growth before you can enter heaven. You still have a lot to learn right now. At this time, I saw a group of people coming toward me. I was very excited because I recognized several of them, including my great-grandfather and great-grandmother. They were holding hands and looked younger and healthier than I remembered. They had happy smiles on their faces. As they drew closer, I noticed that one of my uncles was also beside them. As they stood in front of me, I felt a love like no other. They both extended their hands to me and I was enveloped in their embrace. They welcomed me with open arms. We had a short but warm conversation. In a soft voice, my great-grandmother told me that she had met Jesus upon entering heaven. He had guided her into this wonderful place. She also told me that everything is perfect here, everyone is very friendly, there is no quarrel or malice, only love and peace. Her words made me feel a joy that I had never felt before. This joy was not from outside, but from inner peace and happiness. I believed everything she said, because I could feel this joy outside the door, and I could imagine their lives inside. Finally, the angel said to me, "You must leave this place now." I said goodbye to my family and felt the loss in my heart. We were back in the light again. The angel told me that my fate was up to me and that everyone has the right to choose their own life. I asked the angel, what should I do next? What should I choose? The angel replied, you can choose to be a good person, or you can choose to follow another path. I asked curiously, what is the other path? It was a dark road that led to hell. The angel's words gave me a great revelation. The angel told me to live a good life and that he would always watch over me. Then the angel disappeared into the light. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself lying by the lake. I was confused and wondered how I had gotten to shore. I sat up and found that my clothes were soaked through. I remembered the angel. Could this have really happened? I decided to call my father first. I didn't want him to worry. I told him that I would not be coming home tonight. I knew that I was not in the right state to drive home. I adjusted my seat and prepared to sleep in the car for the night. The next morning, a warm sun shone on my face. After hearing the birds chirping, I realized I was alive and I felt like everything around me was brand new. I pushed open the car door and walked toward the lake. As I walked to the lake, I realized how beautiful and peaceful my surroundings were. The sun was shining on the lake, emitting a golden glow. The surrounding meadow had some wild flowers in bright and beautiful colors. It was a perfect morning. I took a deep breath of the fresh air and felt very happy. I sat by the lake, closed my eyes, and felt the beauty of the morning. This experience made me deeply realize the preciousness of life. I decided to cherish my life more and pursue the life I want more diligently. I thought of the mysterious angel, and I was very grateful to him. I stood up and went back to the car. My mood became more cheerful and positive. I thought about how I was going to change my life to make it more fulfilling and meaningful. It was a new beginning. It was also a new challenge. It's been 12 years since this event. It is still very clear in my memory. I vividly remember every detail and every conversation. The experience of that night was a turning point in my life. It made me re-examine my way of life and the meaning of life. After that experience, I decided to stop drinking because I realized that alcohol didn't bring me anything meaningful. 5 years ago, I met my current wife. I still remember clearly the scene when I first met her. I was praying in church when I suddenly felt someone appear beside me. I looked up and saw a beautiful lady with a warm glow in her eyes. We smiled at each other. After the prayer, we started talking. We had both experienced divorce. We began to talk about each other's experiences and our views on life. In that moment, I felt a special connection between us. We exchanged contact information and started our dating. We understood and supported each other, and we built a wonderful family together. Now we have an adorable son who is the most precious gift in our lives. We create wonderful memories together and face the challenges and difficulties in our lives together. I am grateful for everything I have experienced because they have made me the person I am today. I hope that the next time I go to heaven, I will be allowed to enter that gate. On Christmas Day 1993, I went to the mall with my parents to buy the decorations we needed for Christmas. For a 10-year-old, Christmas can be one of the most anticipated holidays of the year. I always felt overwhelmed with excitement and anticipation during this holiday season. After the shopping was done, my father drove us home. I sat in the back and admired the bustling streets. My father drove intently while my mother chatted with him. Suddenly, I heard a loud bang, the car shook, and then I felt a strong vibration. I looked out the car window and saw that we had been hit by an ambulance. Then the car lost its balance and rolled over like a runaway toy car. I was thrown off and I felt my body spinning in the air. I hit my head on something with a dull thud. My consciousness began to grow fuzzy. I felt like I lost control of my body. I was free from my body and seemed to become an invisible observer. I saw the entire scene of the crash. To my surprise, I found that our car had been severely damaged. The window glass was also all broken. There was an ambulance parked next to it, and the front end was also severely damaged, with the entire front end dented. My heart was filled with confusion and fear. I saw my father collapsed in the car, pale and without any signs of life. I saw my mother, who was crying and calling my father's and my name over and over. Although my heart had stopped, the doctors did not give up on my treatment. The doctor kept performing CPR on me. Slowly, I felt a faint heartbeat. I was pulled back into my body by a force. My consciousness was still a blur. I could hear voices talking around me, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. I was rushed to the hospital. Upon arrival at the hospital, the doctors took me directly to the operating room. The doctors kept performing other treatment measures on me, but my condition did not get better. Suddenly, my heart stopped beating once again. Once again, I left my body and I could see everything inside the entire operating room. I saw the doctor's hands trembling a little and I knew my life was slowly passing away. I heard the voices of two doctors talking in low voices next to me. This child's brain had been severely damaged and he would probably become a vegetable. Even if he could wake up, it would have a great impact on his future life. I was very angry to hear this, and I felt that this doctor was completely talking nonsense. I wanted to tell them that I could hear them, but I couldn't speak. In the operating room, I saw a lot of medical equipment and tools. Doctors were surrounding me. I could see them opening an incision in my head and heard the sound of tools clashing. Suddenly, I felt a mysterious force appear around me. I saw an angel appear in the operating room. This angel had no wings and his eyes revealed an aura of peace. The angel came up to me, and he gently reached out his hand and touched my forehead, and my soul instantly felt a wave of peace. This angel carried a very pure energy, and his presence seemed to bring a breath of fresh air. I didn't know who this angel was or why he was here, but I knew that he was here to help me. His presence made me feel very warm. When I asked the angel about my father's news, the angel was silent for a while. Then he replied softly, "Your father is well." Hearing these words made my heart feel much lighter. But then the angel added, "He has gone to heaven." This news made me unable to believe my ears. I asked in confusion, "Do you mean that my father has passed away? Why did he leave me and my mother?" The angel patiently explained, "Your father's mission has been completed and he needs to go to the other world." I had a hard time accepting this explanation. I felt that my father had abandoned me and my mother. The angel reassured me, "Your father has not left you, he will always be there for you." I asked the angel to take me to see my father. The angel shook his head and told me that now was not the time for me to go to heaven. I had many important tasks to complete. He assured me that I would meet my father again at some point. I felt very frustrated and disappointed, not understanding why the angel would not take me to see my father. I begged him again to take me to my father. Finally, the angel agreed to my request. He told me that it was not an easy thing to do, but he was willing to help me make this wish come true. He also reminded me that this was only a short journey and that I had to be prepared for it. I nodded to show that I was ready. The angel took my hand in his. Next, we began to move upward. I passed through the white clouds and looked up to see a beautiful garden. Inside this garden, I saw all kinds of flowers and trees. Next to the garden, there was a clear stream. It was as if this was a world without troubles. I followed the angel into the depths of the garden. A house appeared in front of me. The house was exactly the same as my current home, from the exterior to the interior. The outer walls of the house were painted light blue. There was a tall oak tree in front of the door, with a thick layer of green grass under it. The door of the house was open, seemingly welcoming our arrival. I followed the angel into the room and saw a familiar family photo. In the photo, I saw me and my parents. The interior of the room was also identical to my house. The walls were pale yellow and the furniture was brown. There was a guitar hanging on the wall. I felt very warm and friendly, as if I was back in my own home. At that moment, there was a sound from outside the room. I knew it must be my father. I came out of the room and saw my father. He looked at me with a smile. He looked much younger than before. I was very excited inside. When I walked up to him, he took me into his arms and hugged me tightly. I buried my head on his shoulder and tears flowed uncontrollably. I whispered, "Daddy, can you come home with me? I want you and Mom to be with me." My father smiled and said, "Son, my time has come. I will be here for you and your mother. You need to move on with your lives, and you must take care of your mother." My father gently wiped away my tears and comforted me, saying, "Don't be sad, my son. I will always be by your side and protect you." My father went on to say, "Son, sometime in the future, both you and your mother will come here. This is also your home, and we will live here forever." After my father showed me around the house, he asked me, "Son, would you like to meet your grandfather?" My grandfather died before I was born, and there is no picture of him in the house. My father used to tell me interesting stories about my grandfather while I was sleeping, because he was an adventurer. I was curious about what kind of a person my grandfather was. I asked my father where we would have to go to meet my grandfather. My father smiled and said, "We are going to a special place." We came to a peaceful place. There, I saw a beautiful courtyard covered with flowers and green grass. My father took me by the hand and walked up the steps. In the corner of the garden, I saw my grandfather. He was sitting there with a travel photo in his hand and a warm smile on his face. As I walked up to my grandfather, he smiled at me and said, "Son, I've been watching you grow up. I know you are a brave child." He continued, "I know you want to be an adventurer too, just like me." Grandfather took out a map and told the story of his former experiences. Grandfather unfolded the map, pointing to the markings on it, said, "These are the places I have been. I have traveled through dense jungles and across treacherous rivers." Grandfather continued, "Son, if you have enough courage, you can also reach their dreams." My grandfather and I talked for a long time, which made me yearn for the unknown even more. My father tapped me on the shoulder and reminded me that it was time for me to go back. I knew that it was time for us to say goodbye. Grandfather stood up, walked slowly to us, took my hand and said gently, "Son, don't be afraid of the unknown, bravely follow your dreams." Finally, my grandfather turned and walked deeper into the garden, disappearing into the dense woods. I knew that it was time to say goodbye to my father. I hugged my father tightly, tears flowing continuously. My father gently patted my back and comforted me, saying, "Son, you must be strong, your mother still needs you. I believe you will be a good boy, a good husband and a good father." Then I assured him that I would take good care of my mother. My father smiled, nodded, and waved goodbye to me. When I returned to the hospital, I found myself in a coma for a week. My mother stayed at my bedside. The doctor told me that my surgery had been a success, but that I would need to rest for a while. For the next few days, I stayed in the hospital receiving treatment, with my mother by my side. Whenever I woke up, she was always waiting by my bedside, giving me encouragement and comfort. During the few days I was in the hospital, my mother never told me about my father's condition. But I knew in my heart that my father had left us. I often saw my mother secretly hiding in the corner and crying. I couldn't bear to see my mother so sad, and I told her about my experience of meeting my father in heaven. I was taken to heaven by an angel and met my father in a garden. There was a house exactly like our house. My mother did not believe what I said. She thought I was just hallucinating. Although I felt a little disappointed, I knew what I said was true. I told my mother again that I had also seen my grandfather in heaven. He was dressed in white, and his hair and beard were snow white. Grandfather's little thumb on his left hand was missing. Grandfather told me that it was an injury he had received during a rock climb. When my mother heard this, she acted surprised. Because she knew that my grandfather had died before I was born. It was very strange to my mother that I could describe in detail what he looked like and how he had been injured. I reassured my mother that my father was doing well in the other world. My father told me that we can't keep dwelling on our grief. We should try to live. He will always be waiting for us in heaven. My mother nodded and then hugged me tightly. A few days later, I left the hospital. Contrary to the doctor's prediction, I did not become a vegetable, but quickly recovered my health. I knew it was all a blessing from my father and grandfather in heaven.